Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this edition of Voice of CIO. I'm your host, Suresh GP. I'm extremely glad and privileged to have today Mrs. Intan, Chief Digital and Information Officer, part of SIRIM Berhad. Thank you so much, Intan, joining us all the way from Malaysia. I hope you're doing well and staying safe.
Thank you, Suresh. It's an honor to be here with you in your Voice of CIO.
Excellent. So I'm pretty happy because we are having you today as part of Asian women leaders participating today as part of this series, because I think there's a lot of pioneering work that you are doing in this region. So give us a little bit of background on your overall journey and what made you become the Chief Digital and Information Officer today. So your experience will inspire a lot of women leaders in the APAC region.
Right. My education background is still in IT. I had a Master's of Computer Science back in Sheffield Hallam University. Then all my life is all about IT. For 27 years, I'm a technician, I'm the network engineer, and then system engineer. Then I move up to be managers, doing all IT stuff. And then I climb up again up to a CEO level and taking care of IT company. Then I had enough of a corporate world. I take a break and I own a consulting company for about 4 years. Then I result back to the corporate world to involve in big data. And now I'm in the Chief Digital Information Officer. So the journey is actually colorful. So to be a Chief Digital Information Officer, you need to have both technical and business sense. And obviously, you need to able to communicate well.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about SIRIM and what's the primary goal of SIRIM being in Malaysia. And I know there's a lot of work being done for the citizens of the country. What is the whole role of SIRIM is, and what is your Chief Digital and Information Officer's roles and responsibilities are?
Right. SIRIM is very unique in Malaysia because we are an industrial research and technology organization in Malaysia. But we are also advocate on the national champion of quality. So we have a commercial entity that doing testing, inspection, certification, calibrations, and training. But it's all about having to help the industry in the space of innovation and quality. So it's very unique. So we have to balance in the sense that having a commercial entity as well as having innovation products to help the industry, to spur the industry so that it can actually have increase the GDP of the country of Malaysia. So that's very unique in SIRIM. It's actually fact, yeah.
Right. And what's been your role? I mean, how long you've been with SIRIM, and what's been your expectations or deliverables? Sometimes in IT, we talk about deliverables and outcomes. So what would you be holding the forte in this role as a Chief Digital and Information Officer? Because I think it's very much a revolutionary role. So what would be your chief outcomes or deliverables as playing this role as a Chief Digital Officer?
Right. My my involvement in SIRIM is quite unique. I was the a protege or management trainee way back in 1994. Nice. Then I left SIRIM in 2000. Then I came back in 2019 as a Chief Digital Officer. So I left as a manager and then I came back as a Chief Digital Officer. And the reason that they brought in and create a Chief Digital Information Officer in SIRIM, because they want to transform from a brick and mortar kind of a business into a digital space. So my chief, deliverable, the main deliverables for my role is to transform from a brick and mortar businesses into a digital space. So from that perspective, I have to be a consultant. I have to have a consultant head. I have to be an operational head and also an innovation head. So you have a multiple head. And then you have to think about a new business model that needs to be in part in the digital space. So it's a huge responsibility and challenges ahead of me in SIRIM. So
I think it's good that they brought in the right person, because I know you love to solve problems. You always want to stretch yourself. And I think with my interactions with you, you have been a real force to reckon. So I'm really glad that SIRIM made the right choice to get you on board. Now,
yeah.
if I look at your journey, right, and being specifically as a women leader in technology, what are among your biggest challenges as women leader in tech, and how do you overcome them? Because the way I look at women leaders in the Asia Pacific region is very different from the West. And you've gone through the ranks and you've made it happen. So we really want to hear from your views on some of the biggest challenges that you have overcome as a women tech leader.
As you know, Suresh, in Asian, women needs to be at home and take care of the kids. Yeah. So the challenge that I have is to balance the life of a family and a career. So as in Malaysia, we still have to take care of our kids, and we still have to cook in some as a women leader, but not for me. I don't cook. So I'm okay with that. I can get away with that. But the most important thing is they expect that from a woman in Malaysia to have take care of the family and also take care of a career. But how I overcome that is I'm fortunate because I have a good partner, I have a good husband that really support me. So I don't have any qualms and problems in terms of not having a balanced life, or he demanded me to cook and wash and everything. So I can do whatever I want to do at home, and I can still concentrate on my career. That is, I think, the most biggest challenges in any women in Malaysia as a technical perspective. Another challenge is this is a man's world. You like it or not, it's a man's world. So for us to be strong and very driven in this, we have to work triple or quadruple harder than the men. So how I overcome that is I read a lot, I network a lot, I participate like talking to you, Suresh, and get inspiration from you and from the rest of the mentors. I have mentors, and I made a time to meet them and talk to them so that I keep abreast with a technology space and also leadership space. So that's what I did. Yeah.
Excellent. So do you also encourage women leaders? Because one of the things I tell, because you have been an inspiration for a lot of people in Asia. So is there a way that if you look at women leaders to come in, is there a way or a forum that you can groom people like that? Or what are the opportunities? Because as you rightly said, some of the people don't get that opportunity to step up their game. They're a little reticent. There's a lot of constraints in the way that they operate, particularly from a cultural perspective. So what would be your advice for someone who wants to be aspirational, but they don't have, they're bound by constraints. Let's be honest, it's very difficult to break. What would you say we should do for those people?
Right. So the first thing that they need to conquer their fear. That's the first thing, Suresh. A lot of women that when I talk to them in the technical space, they have that inferior that I'm not good enough. Yeah, I'm not good enough. I'm not too sure why they think that way, but there's a lot of supporting in terms of giving them a lot of confidence, a space, and opportunity. Then they will shine. But they wait for that moment. They do not like, as opposed to men, they go to the front and say that, hey, look, I've got this idea and I want to do this. They won't shy away. They have no timid, and they just do it. But women, they wait and behind somebody, and then just just, at the background say that, pick me, I can do this, not having to put your hands up or whatnot. They want somebody recognize them, not having to talk about it and shine about it. They felt that it's not right for them to be forceful. It's not right for them to be outspoken. It's not right for them. So I think the first thing that they have to conquer their fear. How to conquer their fear is to build the confidence. How to build the confidence? Network. Please network and have a mentor. That's the most important thing. And another thing is they need to learn how to communicate. Learn about it. Suresh, I'm certified in train the trainer for Malaysia HRDF. I'm certified train the trainer for TaUB Solutions. I went for a lot of communication classes, sitting on your feet, all this speak your mind, that kind of thing. I did that, and I don't think men went as much as more trainings than me, in having to communicate and in having to put my thoughts into influence, other people, and to really articulate what I'm going to say. So I know it's a tough journey for a woman, but hey, look, I'm here now. so it is doable. Yeah, it is doable.
I think you talked about a lot of things around making sure that you address the fear, improve the confidence, improve your communication channels, invest on yourself in terms of training and development, but also more importantly on networking. I think that's music to ears for people who really want to do it, because it's very easy to say that, we have these constraints, we cannot do it. But if you don't leave any stone unturned, then there are huge opportunities to do that. That's brilliant. Intan, and what you brought in. So what are some of the changes? I know that you talked about in 2019, you took this position of Chief Digital and Information Officer. What are some of the changes that you have brought in SIRIM as part of your digital transformation? Because I know that it's a huge journey, right? From a brick and mortar to become a completely digital thing, and particularly from a government setup. What's been your journey so far?
Right. So this is my 3 years in SIRIM. And as I mentioned earlier, SIRIM is a unique organization. We have R&D and we have also a commercial entity. So if you look at that, it's a totally two different space. And when you look at the actual business processes, when you have two different diverse space, you will have a lot of siloed kind of a business processes. Siloed departments, they're not talking to each other, because R&D and commercial, the scientists said that I need to invest a lot of money to innovate, and the commercial said I don't have a lot of money to give you the money to for you to spend on it, something like that. So there's a lot of technical debts that I need to resolve. So for the past 2 years, it's about modernization of our legacy systems. So we start modernize our ERP systems. The fruit is going to bear maybe later of the year, not now, but this is what we are busy with. We have about more than 50 kind of legacy systems that we need to modernize. So we have to have that resources, limited resources and limited budget. So we have to plan carefully on what we spend and what make a good impact to the organization as SIRIM. So another part of what I've brought the changes in SIRIM is to have a lot of digitization. So when you have a lot of digitization, you will have data that will be in the digital assets. So talent is scarce, resources is limited. So what are you going to do? So I started to have coined this idea. It's not an idea, it's everybody doing it, hackathon, and I introduced it in SIRIM. So we started to democratize the application development in terms of workflow. So now everybody can develop, everybody can digitize. So they can start with the manual forms and then digitize it. They have a small workflow that they need to get some approval in Outlook or in Microsoft Form workflows. They can do it on the fly. So we started to do that and we introduced that. So we need to have a lot of digitization. Then I started to inculcate the culture in IT department itself, because in order for us to do the digital transformation, the IT need to transform first. So we started to campaign, start small and scale fast. Yeah, start small, scale fast, and think about the employee experience. Think about that all the time, and think about business-centric solutions. So no more, you know, hey, Intan, I need to automate this. Can you do this to help us? No, we need to think about whether this is impactful to your organization. Is there any funding involved? Is there ROI? Do we have resources to do it? So it's like having a change of culture, not to react on everything that they ask us to do, but really prioritize on what is the most impactful to the organization. So there are three things that I brought so far, and so far it's working. So for the next 2 years, we are actually trying to have business-to-business e-commerce platform. So in order for us to do that, we have to clear all the technical debt first. So a lot of data harmonization work, a lot of data cleansing work, a lot of tweaking, enhancing from a two-tier architecture to a microservices architecture. So mouthful. A lot of things.
And I like the way that you talked about democratizing your application set and giving everybody an opportunity to digitize, because this is something never heard of, because we generally tend to isolate people. Okay, you are best suited to do the digitization because of your experience, but now you're trying to give everybody a platform, which means everybody who's hungry enough to do certain things can contribute and make that really worthwhile. I mean, I love it, because everybody starts to share the same kind of an opportunity and not restricted around it. That's fascinating. So in terms of technology, and I think you are a pretty solid technical person who talks about moving towards cloud natives and microservices. Is there a game plan, particularly from a legacy infrastructure standpoint? Because many a times, as Gartner says, we exist as bimodal IT. Now, there are certain level of things that you can do into containers, some level to microservices. But what's the technology roadmap that you think that has been brought impactful towards digital transformation? What are some of those aspects that you're doing towards technology front?
So as much as you like the democratized application development, that's the technology that I brought in, and it was hidden in the cloud, in the Azure platform. So SIRIM is actually already moved to cloud. We have already moved to cloud, and we use Azure platform in 2018, 2017, that year. 2018, I think, that year. But they have not, because it's new, the IT folks have not discovered a lot of things inside there. So when I came on board, I said that I start to play around with the SharePoints, the knowledge space, the Azure. So, hey, what is this? What is that? And that is a platform called Power Platform, Microsoft Power Platform, that you can do application development without having to know the codes. So no code and low code platform. So that's the technology that really impactful to SIRIM, because with the no code or low code platform, we started with one hackathon in 2020 during the movement control order. And then we did it last year, two hackathons. And this year we're going to do it 3 hackathons. So every time we did a hackathon, we developed products and MVPs, and also the full-fledged working application system for the business to use it. So they really love it. They really love it, because within 2 days, they actually can see it, in front of their eyes, the application system, or just a simple automation. And then they need to refine, and then they work closely with my team. So that's the transformational, that we don't have to have a fancy blockchain or artificial intelligence or whatnot. It's a simple low-code or no-code platform. I know there's a lot more out there, OutSystems and everything, or Joget for that matter, that can really look into the transformation on the digitization, because a lot of managers, a lot of the management, they want to see fast results, quick results. You know, Intan, I brought you in. What is your results? I cannot see. Modernization of legacy system took you donkey years. You know, Suresh, they cannot see it. So when you introduce this very good, easy to use low-code, no-code platform, they will say, wow, you transform something. But for actual fact, nothing was done. So, but the best thing is when we did this, we really look into the ROI. We really calculate before and after, and we saw a tremendous increase in productivity, more than 50% of increase in productivity when they introduced a simple automation, you know, Suresh. And we not only taught them how to use convert the manual forms into a workflows or whatnot. We taught them Power BI. You change your data from Excel and start visualize that, and they really have an aha moment whereby they can actually deep dive and see what's going on with the data, and they want more and more. And that's where the IT can give a lot of value to them, because once they want it, then we can help it. And then most of the time the users say that, I don't know what I want, so you just show it to me. So now I said, okay, you don't know what you want, you do it first and you tell me what you want. So the other way around, and it's working, Suresh. It's working well.
So I think you really mentioned about how to leverage the power of technology. The low code, no code is getting popular because I think we don't have resources who would kind of spend an amount of time, bring in consultant to do it. Let's get it all, you know, like I like the way that we're looking at IKEA, right? Do it yourself. So I think the whole world is going to be like, you do it yourself. It's like a self-service model, get through this and show results, right? And I think you are already created that set level of interest and involvement to do that. So last final question for our viewers is, what is the, and particularly in the Malaysian region, as part of the CIOs part of it, where is the trend going around? You know, what do you think for aspiring people to be CIOs? What kind of skill set and knowledge and experience do you think they should possess to become real good leaders in the digital space? Because everything is now changing towards being digital. What would be your word of advice or insight for people who want to be real good digital officers and CIOs in the future?
I have only one sentence: passion.
Right.
You need to be passionate. It doesn't matter what is your background. You might be a business admin background, or you might be an accountant. But if you are passionate in that area, you will be CIO in no matter of time. But from my perspective, I'm very passionate on having to automate a lot of things to help people to get better in their work, so they can actually get faster and better, and they can concentrate on their work-life balance. So they can concentrate on other things and opportunities, so that the automation can help them. But the automation also in the CIO space, also you need to a little bit know about the technology that you need to bring in. So it doesn't mean that, you know, I'm the accountant, I don't have to know about the technology and then we started, because we need to know a little bit of what you call it, tech savvy. Not necessarily you are the programmer or you have been a network engineer, but at least you are tech savvy, how the technology can bring impact to the organization. And then you need to learn about the leadership skills, because when you deal with the digital transformation, it's all about handling human problems, changing the adoption of the technology, working with the business people, working with the IT folks, working with the service provider. It's all about human. So you need to learn about that. So you cannot run away unless you talk you will lead a bunch of robots in the future, then you don't need to learn about leadership. You might to have a robot psychologist or maybe in the future, but not leadership. But at this moment in time, yeah, you need to know, you need to be passionate, you need to have a leadership skills and tech savvy. That's all, Suresh.
Absolutely. And I think you summarized it pretty well. But I think to your point, when I observe you as a leader who was accomplished, you have this inquisitiveness and curiosity. I think that is also very important as people go through it, because otherwise what happens is people think, oh, I know everything, so I don't need to know about it. But what I saw when I interacted with you over the time, I saw your glow in your eyes. You were very curious about knowing what it is. And I think that's a very important attribute that you have had to become a great leader, because it's not about knowing everything, but being curious and inquisitive to learn, and the willingness to learn, unlearn and relearn. I think that's going to be a very important part in the journey.
Yeah. You are absolutely correct. You know, Suresh, I have reinvented my life, you know, few times, you know, from a normal engineer, and then you become a manager, and then I left the corporate world, I become the consultant. Do you know that I was an entrepreneur that sells veils and brooches and all the snacks, you know, cakes. I don't bake, but I get the supplier and sell. So I have to reinvent my life to make sure that I do not left behind in a business space and also in the technology space. You are right. You need to be curious, hungry. You need to be hungry all the time, hungry for knowledge, hungry to learn, hungry to be excited, hungry to be energetic, although you're fasting. So you need to be hungry all the time.
No, this is absolutely a delight. You're saying about staying hungry. It's all about being passionate. And you're a bundle of energy, right? And I think with all this fasting, you have that energy. And I hope and pray that you will inspire more women leaders and also change the face of the industry in Asia and specifically in Malaysia. Thank you so much for that insights, and we hope that our viewers will also get inspired by this whole journey. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Suresh. Thank you.
It's been a delight, and I hope viewers, you had a great session listening to Intan, her experience of being a Chief Digital and Information Officer in SIRIM, inspiring everyone, and I hope you will be motivated to go through this whole journey.